All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call this meeting to order of the Mayor and Board of Commissioners for September the 26th, 2017. Can I get the roll call, please?
Commissioner Pearson,
Here.
Commissioner Warnick,
Here.
Commissioner Arthurreath,
Here.
Commissioner Braun,
Here.
Mayor Marion.
Here.
Let the record reflect that all the elected body is in attendance.
Will you rise with me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will you bow your heads with me for a brief prayer, please? Father God, I come to you tonight on behalf of our town, on behalf of our citizens, God. I ask that you watch over all of us that are here tonight and all of us that couldn't be here tonight as well, God. I ask that you watch over our town and our citizens. I ask that you watch over our law enforcement, our EMS and fire, as well as our armed forces that are serving overseas, God. Please be with us as we leave here tonight and when we come together again. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, first on public presentations is Resolution 2017-12, which is the appointment of election judges. And I do have that. So I'm going to go ahead and read that into the record. I'm going to go ahead and skip the boilerplates. It says, whereas the Town of Rising Sun Charter contains C-6, titled Board of Election Judges and Election Process, which establishes the creation of Board of Election Judges made up of 3 members plus 1 alternate member who will all serve 2-year terms. And whereas the Board of Election Judges shall be in charge of all town elections, ballot preparations, counting of ballots, and election verification, the Board of Election Judges shall decide all questions of registration of voters and the verification of candidate qualifications. And whereas the Mayor and Commissioners recently received word that 2 of the 3 appointed judges are now unable to serve, which creates 2 vacancies on the board, and whereas the Mayor and Commissioners wish to those 2 open positions on this board for the upcoming town elections to be held on October 16th. I think that's a typo. Therefore, the Mayor and Commissioners wish to appoint the following persons to serve on the Board of Election Judges alongside current board members, Ms. Kimberly Widener, with all 3 members serving in these positions until the 2nd Tuesday of March 2019. Irma Brown and Carol Black. Therefore, be it further resolved that the Mayor and Board of Commissioners of the Town of Rising Sun passed, approved, and adopted this resolution on the 26th day of September 2017. Can I get a motion to approve Resolution 2017-12?
I make a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussions regarding this resolution? None? Can I get all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. I did want to take a moment to recognize some Eagle Scouts that are here. Aiden House and Rylan House from Troop 143, welcome. Thank you guys so much for coming. We'll try to keep this as least boring as possible for you gentlemen. All right, you guys have presentations as well? All right, the floor is yours. You can come up to the podium and just speak.
Is it on?
Yep.
Hi. Presentation thing. Where?
Which your name, please?
Aiden House.
Aiden, welcome.
I'm from BSA Troop 143. I'm actually a Life Scout, not an Eagle Scout.
Okay.
I'm going for my Eagle. Just waiting for the presentation to pop up. There it is. Okay, so what I'm doing, quick thing. Yeah, next slide. I've been in scouting since I was 6. One of my triplet brothers are here. My other one's at home. We've been doing this for a really long time. I like doing high adventure activities. Like recently, I went down to Florida Sea Base, which is a high adventure camp down here, and I stayed on an island for a week, which was really fun. I'm eager to get to work because I know we have to get the holes dug and the concrete in before winter comes. So yeah, and I think this project would be valuable for the community, for the learning platform and the hiking trails and dog park. My project is going to be the 3rd part of this, which is the part along the learning platform with a ramp attached to it, and it's going to connect to the learning platform. My brother's going to do the other part of that. Slide thing. Okay, so there's some pictures. There's the overhead view. I actually got that from Google, which is actually pretty nice. And then that's the side of I took a picture there of the side of the learning platform, which my project is going to attach. That's the end that the ramp's going to come off, and I was told by my Google advisor that I have to drop an inch for every foot, which I'm not sure about, but that's fine. Next thing. There's one of my drawings, which is not that detailed. That's like rough of that, and yeah, next thing. Yeah, that's more detailed. On the left part, that's where the joist and all that's going to connect, and the pylon, and then the decking and the side rails. And the one on my right is there's the frame part, which shows measurements and stuff, pylon lines, and the decking running. Next thing. That's the materials list, which I'm going to be using. It's going to be at about $850 about. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty expensive, and I'm going to do fundraising for that. And some safety concerns are cuts, falling objects, and stuff. There will be a trained first responder and first aid kit on scene, and there's everyone's fire company, police department very close by. So yeah, and that's it. Any questions?
So you're connecting,
To his and the learning platform.
is your brother gonna give us a presentation?
Yes, he is.
Okay. All right.
The thing that I would say, and I know Commissioner Warnick will probably add a little bit to your presentation, but we're really excited about getting this done at the dog park. As you can see, we do have 2 platforms that don't connect right now, so to have them connect and be able to have that as a useful addition to Triangle Dog Park, I think it's going to be excellent.
I've been working with all 3 of the house triplets on their projects. So the third one's actually at the middle school. I'll just put that out there so that he gets some credit. But that one, he's not presenting, and I've got the chair that sinks when this works. But I can say that since the last time that Aiden met, I met with Aiden, I should say, about 2 weeks ago, I guess, that it looks like you've got the additional detail that Mr. Parrott and I talked to you about with the deck boards and all that. So I'm glad to see that's completed. So, at this point, whenever you have all your plans ready and you're ready to get your book signed off on, just let me know and we'll meet and get you going.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Can we have your name?
My name is Rylan House,
Perfect.
and I'm currently a Life Scout. I'm 15 years old, and so right now my position in the troop is quartermaster, which is I pretty much move things about. But anyway, okay.
Relax.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I'm from Troop 143, and I, as he said, my project's gonna be the actual walkway to his ramp, and so. So, so what I'm planning to do, since this is the 4th phase, but not really what I'm planning on doing, is to basically frame me and his, first drill the holes. Like to get that done before winter, because then the ground freezes. But I would like to frame them together and then put the boards over it together, so it's kind of like, so they're like built, instead of being built on, it's kind of built in, so it allows for more like support. Yeah. And the materials list is just like all the materials. I can't read that. It's gonna be like
$1,030.
Yes. Yeah, and so like that's carriage bolts, the wood, all the wood's pressure treated, and all the like just all the screws and stuff, concrete, if we need it, or auger, and the auger. I think we're only gonna have to rent it once just to drill the holes and all that. And so some of the tools we're probably gonna need is like saws, hammers, wrench, ratchets, the auger, maybe a wheelbarrow or two, a tape measure. Pretty much your usual I'ma build stuff things. And there's a drawing of how it's roughly going to work. Also a drawing of the little concrete form with like the where the freeze line is, or frost line, whatever it's called there. And it also has like the 2x4s and all that. And so that was supposed to be the second drawing, but it's not. As you can see, today's under construction.
All right. I may have the presentation before. I don't know if you got a chance to update or not, because that was the presentation that I think you sent last night to me.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And then there's some photos. There's the end of the bridge. There's the decking. Like that's where the first part is, and then the you can see the 4x4 and like the railing and the 4x4 and all that, and then should be other pictures. And then there's the above view, and then there's the learning platform from the corner where like the bridge over here, and then this right here is going to connect. So it's like that's where that view is. And then what else is there? Yeah.
all right, next slide.
Yeah, next slide. And some safety issues would be like falling objects, heavy things, sharp tools, electricity possibly, tripping hazards, and yeah, etc. So on, anything that possibly holes that people could fall in. Yeah, like just, and the way to prevent is like, well, we're gonna keep a first aid kit nearby, and we're just gonna have like the site pretty much clean, a little bit cleaner, you know, so like have it all clearly marked out. And then that's the end.
Very good.
Okay, Rylan, like I said with Aiden, once you have your book all worked out and approved with your troop leader, then let me know and we'll get that signed and you guys can get started. Just to remind the board, these two projects will connect the boardwalk and bridge that Adam Parrott built, I believe 2 summers ago, as well as the learning platform that Robbie James built probably about 2 summers ago also at this point. So we're excited actually to have these 2 scouts to complete this project, because this is, I know, something that the mayor's been kindly
Riding
reminding me.
Commissioner Warnick.
Yeah, that'd be a good way to put it. And I've told him patience, and I've got 2 scouts working on it. I've confidence that they'll get it completed by, I think your timeline was by the spring, was
Well,
what you were aiming for.
I'm looking right now by like thinking about it. I don't think I'll get it done by this spring, but I think we can get like, or the,
Yeah, it's 2018.
yeah, 2018 probably. But as I said, I would like to get the concrete and the holes dug and everything before winter.
Yep. And then that gives you a lot of options on the time in which you can get it done in. Yep.
Yeah, because you could kind of build it during winter. I mean, if it's a nice winter.
Well, I can't thank you guys enough for wanting to do this and get back to our community. We'll be excited to watch the progress as it goes. So thank you both for coming out tonight.
Thank you much, guys.
Are there any questions at all?
Is your family here with you tonight?
Thank you for letting them do this.
Thank you for having them involved, and you should be very proud of these gentlemen.
Yes, sir. I'm their
Thank-
scoutmaster now, so.
Good. Keep those scouts going. You guys do a great job, and we really appreciate it. And our dog park is going to be getting more completion. I showed some good pictures a couple of weeks ago of when we first opened it with Mayor Marion 3 years ago and Terry Moore, our county council, and it gets a lot of use down there. So
And we have more boys going for Eagle Scouts, I think two more.
Commissioner Warnick will have
Send them
We've got
Commissioner
the
Warnick's
projects
way.
ready to go.
Yeah.
I told them to contact you.
Okay. Yep.
Good.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, we don't have any business meeting items, so citizens input.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right, we don't have anyone on the agenda tonight. Would anyone else like to speak this evening? All right. Moving into staff reports, Chief.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. During the period of September 12th, 2017 through September 26, 2017, we responded to 202 calls. Excuse me. The officers used 6 hours of sick leave. During that time period, we took reports for drug possession, assaults, 3 reports for thefts, 2 for destruction of property, 1 for an animal cruelty, 2 for harassment, 2 for fraud, and 1 for fugitive of justice and a motor vehicle accident. With the fraud, I myself have been, like thousands or millions, had my information exposed in the Equifax hack. So I would like for everyone to take a time and go to the Equifax website, look and see if your information has been exposed. Almost immediately, I started to get unusual phone calls. At one point in time, in a 2-hour window, I had about 7 relatives called, my neighbors, my friends, all calling to try to get information on me. So, if
They
me,
should have called me.
that's not good. So, with me being a police officer, and I'm quite sure that's listed in my credit files, they still made the attempt to try to get my information, get additional information, and use my credit. So, if it could happen to me, it could happen to anyone. So, I would suggest that people take the time to make contact with that Equifax website and see if their information has been exposed to everyone or anyone on the black web.
And one of the things that I would add, Chief, as my information was also stolen, you can sign up for credit monitoring through Trusted ID, which is from Equifax. Right now, they're saying they're only going to do it for a year, which hopefully that's going to change and they're going to do it for much longer. But I had my information stolen as well, and I had to get a tracking, the Trusted ID I signed up for so that they could track my credit as well.
Absolutely. Okay. Also during that time period, we made 2 arrests for heroin possession, 2 for theft, 1 for an ex parte violation, 2 for burglary, 1 for a harboring of a fugitive, 3 for an assault, and 1 emergency evaluation was completed. We also arrested 1 juvenile for turfing the middle school field. In traffic enforcement along Main Street, we stopped 31 vehicles, Queen Street 12 vehicles, Mount Street 9 vehicles, Pearl Street 1, all the other roads 17, and Wilson Avenue we did 11 traffic stops there. We also issued a parking citation on Keppels Mill Court. In other areas of the police department, I attended the Maryland Chiefs and Sheriffs Association golf tournament, which was held at the Chesapeake Bay Golf Club here in Rising Sun. It was probably the most beautiful day that you could be on a golf course. I'm not a golfer. I went to assist and volunteer, and it was actually a nice day, and you had chiefs and sheriffs from throughout the state of Maryland. And yes, there's a spelling error on that because it says gold tournament. It's a golf tournament, not gold. Also, during this time period, we underwent a audit by the governor's office on crime control and prevention, dealing with the detention of juveniles. There's several limitations and stipulations that go along with detaining a juvenile, and we received 100% compliance. And some great news, I received an email from Legit, the insurance agency for the town. They advised me that we will be receiving $5,000 to offset the cost of the body cams. So I look forward to that coming to us soon. I also attended the Cecil County Chiefs of Police meeting. In that meeting, there was a discussion about protocol when it deals with the heroin epidemic and how we are responding with Narcan. At the rate we're using it, I know for one specific individual, he overdosed 6 times before, he did not have Narcan close. So the approach is now being given by medical professionals that they are going to give those people who are suffering from addiction to opiates their own Narcan to carry with them.
By the way, the next phase is to give every drunk their own bottle of whiskey.
Okay. Currently, we're undergoing a software upgrade on the in-car computers for the police department. It hasn't been a smooth event because we're dealing with multiple agencies trying to get it going at one time with a totally different platform, and I'm quite sure Commissioner Warnick will understand that when I say a totally new platform when we're changing from one to another. So there have been times where our system has been down and the officers have not had the tool in their vehicles to use. And lastly, the Fire and EMS Appreciation Breakfast is scheduled for Friday, October 13th at the Ford's Funeral Home Banquet Hall, and Commissioner Pearson is heading that up. And if you'd like to volunteer, he will be accepting those volunteers. As a law enforcement officer, first responder, my job would be probably 50 times more difficult if I did not have the assistance of the fire and EMS. The fire police save us manpower, man hours. They save us from being exposed to, vehicular dangers at times. The paramedics and the fire personnel, we share calls, and it's always great to have them on scene because, again, working as a team, we can accomplish things that as an individual police officer on the scene would take me forever. So I am glad that we're hosting that, and I hope that people step up and volunteer. I'll be there volunteering, and I'm sure it will be a great event. With that being said, if there's any questions, that's my report. Thank you.
I hope you feel better.
I always find software works exactly the way I wrote it.
Thank you, Chief. Town Administrator, do you have a report?
Yes. The appeals board met last night to follow up on a application for a daycare at 240 Colonial Way. For those that are interested where that is where the original NLX fitness facility was located up by the Domino's Pizza. This applicant is proposing to have a daycare center there for up to 46 children. The applicant met before the Planning Commission on the 18th. The Planning Commission made a recommendation to the Appeals Board to deny the request for the special exception, and the Board of Appeals met last night, had a lot of questions that the applicant was unable to answer, so they allowed the applicant to request a continuance. The applicant is requesting a continuance for 2 weeks. Not sure when that exact date is going to be because 2 weeks falls on Columbus Day and the town hall will be closed. So we got to coordinate that with the members of the appeals board. A reminder to everyone, obviously we're starting to pick up activity, as I've said before, for special exceptions and variances. You can find when these cases are on the town's website in the calendar, and then as required for by law, the town advertises these meetings 2 successive weeks prior to the actual cases. Both the Planning Commission cases and the Board of Appeals cases are both advertised. The applicant is looking for a special exception to operate the daycare in the central commercial area, and the applicant is also requesting a special exception to the minimal amount of recreational area that is required in our code to be provided for each child. The applicant right now is not presenting a recreational area that is as large as our code requires. The other item I wanted to follow up on is 107 Stone Run in the Bryant's Grace development. That is something that we got wind of. We've talked about this before, that the town's hands can be tied sometimes on some of these problem properties. The town has been in communication with the bank for some time, but the bank was always running into a brick wall because they had to go through the formal eviction process on it. So once we got wind that the eviction process was going to take place, normally an eviction, the sheriff's department removes the occupant from the unit or the building, and sometimes the occupant will move all their belongings that they can take in that time period out into the front yard. And so by law, the bank has to give that occupant 24 hours to come back and collect their belongings. A normal eviction process could take up to 30 days, in which for the bank to get out there and coordinate everything and clean it up. When we got wind that the bank was going through the eviction process, we sent the bank a violation notice, and we gave them a very short window of about 7 days to get the property cleaned out, the grass cut, the fence restored, and there's an in-ground swimming pool in the backyard that's very dangerous for children. So the bank has been very cooperative in getting this expedited. There's another phase that we're going to go through. The town is going to continue to ask for as much as it can in the cleanup in this property. We are trying to establish a partnership with the bank, meaning that you can get more bees with honey than swinging a stick. In other words, coming in and hammering the bank is not necessarily going to be the same as being able to talk to them about being good neighbors. So there's still some things that we'd like to see cleaned up on the outside of the property, because typically these houses will stay vacant for a long period of time, especially one that's been as damaged as this one has been on the inside. We also have another property that we're dealing with on Reynolds Avenue, in which there's a lot of debris and borderline trash and garbage being kept in and around the property. So again, we're working on trying to get that cleaned up. Mount Street, the elected body remembers about a year ago, we ran into an issue with a property being sold on Mount Street that was not connected to the town's sewer and water, despite the fact that the sewer and water was running right in front of the property. So we were able to convince the property owner that it's to their benefit to connect to the town's sewer and water. So that has all been completed. all but 2 units in the town center shopping center have been inspected. As everyone has already read the paper by now, the owner of the town center shopping center was sold to another New York outfit. As part of them signing off, or us signing off on the transfer, and let me tell you where this happens. This is all about legality or protecting the town's liability. When a property goes to settlement, especially a commercial property, the commercial property will hire all kinds of people to represent them. They will hire a third-party firm to go into all of the records and look and see every building permit that was ever filed, and that person who's buying it wants a sign-off from that third party that everything meets the code. And so what they always put in front of us is a piece of paper that they want us to sign that says everything meets the code. We take the position of if you want us to sign that, then we are going to go in and inspect every single one of those properties. I can tell you this inspection has yielded a lot of emergency lighting issues on the inside. In other words, you know, this time of the year, if the power goes out when the businesses are open, it might not be an issue because it's daylight. But if you're in some of those businesses at 4:15 or 4:30 or 5 o'clock on a December, January day and the lights go out because of an emergency incident, you're not going to see. And so there are a lot of emergency lighting issues. There's a lot of housekeeping issues. There's emergency exits that are blocked. There's emergency exit lighting that's not working. There's electrical outlets that are reverse wired, open neutrals, reverse polarity. There's a whole host of issues there, and that's the reason for code enforcement, is to go in and make those buildings safe. And I'll leave you with this, you know, sort of motto that we take here when it comes to performing public building inspections. We are all about the public safety, because when you go to conduct business at any one of those businesses, you should have an expectation of whether or not you're there for 10 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, or whatever, that if something happens, you're not in danger because something happened, whether it's a fire, you know, an electrical issue. You should be protected. And so these inspections go to make sure that when you're in there for 15 minutes in an environment that you might not know other than the front door, but if you were forced to have to go in another direction to get out of the building, we want to make sure that you can get out of the building. If you're in a changing room, if you're in the restroom, and the lights go out and you're completely in pitch black, we want to make sure that that doesn't happen. So that's what these public building inspections are about, and that's just an example of the number of things that we have found just in 1 week's worth of inspections in those buildings. So that's the reason why we do it.
Thank you, Town Administrator. Historical Preservation Commission, any report?
I just wanted to remind everybody that we're going to have our Civil War reenactment, and it's October 7th and 8th. So come down to the park and make sure that you visit.
Thank you so much. All right, any old business tonight?
No, I'm sorry. There's one thing that I skipped over here, is to announce the candidates for the upcoming election. As everybody's aware, there were 3 positions open for election this year. 2 commissioners' positions. The only candidates that entered their names in were David Warnick and Alan Auchenreith for the 2 commissioners' positions, so they will be running unopposed. For the mayor's position, we have an applicant, Penny Cole Testerman, has applied and has been certified as a candidate for mayor, and then Travis Marion has also applied and has been certified as a candidate for mayor. And Mayor, you can cover the election timelines at the end in the
All right.
report.
Thank you so much. Congratulations to Commissioner Warnick and to Commissioner Auchenreith for they're going to be running unopposed, so they will have another 4-year term with this board. And I wish Miss Penny Cole Testerman all the best as well in her run for mayor. All right, any old business tonight? Any new business? All right. Moving into the mayor's report, myself and the Board of Commissioners attended the Rising Sun Little League state champion presentation for the softball girls who won our state championship tonight, as well as the award ceremony for our Rising Sun Little League. We were able to thank the girls and give them citations for their hard work in representing Rising Sun at one of the highest levels in sports. So we send our sincere congratulations to them and to the coaches as well. I'm proud of the relationship that we have started with the Rising Sun Little League. They do a lot for our community, and I am very glad, and hopefully in the future that relationship will continue. I also wanted to say that this past Saturday, myself and the Board of Commissioners attended a road dedication. This would be probably my only road dedication, and the road was dedicated to a man who really was a pillar of our community. Jim Jones walked our streets. He cared immensely not only about Rising Sun, about God and about our people, but also about the Cecil County community as well. One of the things that I think really highlighted what Jim had done was the amount of people that came out just to see this road dedication. His wife was there, as well as one of his sons, Blake, who flew in from Arizona for the unveiling of the sign. So when you drive down North Walnut Street, you'll see Reverend Jones Lane, Reverend Jim Jones Lane. And one of the pastors really summed it up well that spoke that that lane itself goes in a circle, and that circle really does represent Jim's love for that church and the people that attended that church and the Rising Sun community. So I was proud of that. I was proud that our entire board was there, as well as our chief of police and our town administrator, just to say thank you to one of the pillars of our community and someone that I myself admire for all he had done for our community. I also wanted to say that I met with Cub Scout Pack 28. It was an excellent meeting. I met with them and spoke with them a little bit about what the mayor does and a little bit about our town government. I think it was not only eye-opening for the kids, but also for the parents. One of the things that they were surprised to hear that, yes, we do videotape our meetings and they're on YouTube and you can watch them at any time. We necessarily don't have the largest turnout here, but we do have a significant amount of people that watch them online. So get involved in our community and see what's going on, and come out and potentially run for office. I also wanted to say that I had an excellent meeting with the principal of the Rising Sun High School. Principal Helm wants us to come out again for the Rising Sun High School homecoming celebration, and he will be getting us a date very shortly for our board to come out and present the Spirit Stick to them again this year during the football game. And that's something I'm very proud of. I'm proud of the relationship that we have started with our schools, especially with our high school. Even though it's not in Rising Sun town limits, it represents our name, and we are an example for our kids. So I think that that's something that we should do. We should be involved in our schools. Moving forward into commissioners' comments, Commissioner Altenreith.
Calvin, did that picture that I sent you come through?
Yes.
Right, resent it. Excuse me. This change in weather's got us all messed up here with our voice and all. As Mayor Marion said, tonight we attended the celebration for the girls softball winning championship. And a couple of weeks ago, when I announced I'd be running again, I took everybody that showed up through a long slideshow of pictures that I've taken over the years. And this is one that we that didn't make it, but it worked out perfect timing with us going over tonight to meet with the community, and they had a big turnout. And Mayor Marion, you know, it was his idea to do proclamations and all for all the girls. But this picture was taken 3 years ago, about this same time, for the boys winning state champion. And there's one of the things I like about it, we have a real good picture of Commissioner Walker when he was with us, you know, Commissioner Walker, we lost him this past year, but should anybody see this picture, his family or anybody would like a copy of it, I'd be glad to pass it on to them. Along with, there's myself behind him, the mayor, Commissioner Warnick, and Commissioner Scully was there with us too. She's kind of hidden in the back over there, but like I said, it's a great to see the community spirit that this town has. I talked about it with the fishing derby a while back, all the families that came out for that. It was the first year I got to make that. I was just really impressed with that. And then the Little League opening day ceremony this year that I got to be part of. And I think, Bill, you were telling me it was a small crowd this year, and I thought it was big.
See, it wasn't big when it got to us at the end.
Yeah.
Not
It's,
like we're used to.
because like I said, I thought it was a cold day that day too. So the mayor's always lined us up good sponsors to ride in their cars if we don't have our own. So, like I said, I wanted to show that and recognize Commissioner Walker, because he knew a lot of these kids' parents when they played ball, and probably straightened a few of them out a few times too when they were younger. Also, you know, the thing we did this past Saturday for Reverend Jim Jones at James United Methodist Church, I was honored to be part of that, as my wife and I are members of the church, and we met Jim in his younger days, and once he found out I was on the planning board at that time, you know, he was one to, you know, rib you a little bit about being a politician and stuff. And so it was really a great turnout, and a lot of people didn't realize that the board, Mayor Marion, you know, he's done the Citizen of the Year for a few years here, and we talked about that. Instead of a trophy this year for somebody, he recognized Jim Jones. Not to take away from any of the other clergy in our town, but Reverend Jones was a man of the people. He was in Sue's restaurant filling coffee, as well as standing in the pulpit on Sunday mornings. And everybody just really was honored to see, you know, Mayor Marion put forward that as the Person of the Year this year. And we have quite a few others that we want to recognize going forward. It's part of our discussions as we meet together sometimes in administrative meetings, and instead of, you know, it's made it a group effort now instead of just one person deciding who's doing it. He brings forward several people in the community that we can all talk about and come to concurrence on. The water situation, nothing new to report today. Hope to have something new by our next meeting. It's going to be good news. We're just going through the red tape right now. So I think that's everything today.
Thank you, Commissioner Autenreith. Commissioner Braun. Commissioner Pearson.
I would like to say also that I was honored to be there with the dedication. Jim married one of my sons. He's baptized two of my grandkids. And when we moved up here, Jim was one of the first to really welcome us with open arms. And he was truly one of the great ones involved in this town. Also, just a reminder, if you want to donate some time to help the breakfast, you can contact me through Town Hall, and I will call you back. I've already had 2 people do that, and I called them back within an hour. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Pearson. Commissioner Warnick.
Town Administrator, there we go. So we have a lot still going on in our parks, and this update's no exception. Next slide. So the stream bed restoration has been wrapped up at this point. We've done our final walkthrough, and at this point we've accepted the south side is completed. The north side, there's a couple little minor things that have to be tweaked, but for the most part it's just about done anyway. The trees have been planted, so we actually have quite a few more trees have been planted back than were taken down. And there's going to be a 25-foot no-mow zone up towards the wood line with native grasses and things like that. So we're starting to work with our mowing people to make sure that we have, you know, the no-mow zones that are defined in the plans actually implemented. So, and we should be ready for the Civil War reenactment, which I'll go into in a few minutes. So, next slide. Bridge construction on the trail leading from near the basketball courts back towards the Eagle Scout project 2 years ago has been completed. So the only thing I have left to do on that bridge is the bottom and the middle rail. But the framing, with the assistance of Public Works on Friday, we got the center framing completed, the main span completed, and then with my 14-year-old daughter's assistance on Saturday, I put her to work carrying boards, and all I had to do was run a few screws. She was doing all the hard, all the heavy lifting, carrying boards around and measuring and everything. And So she kept boards in front of me in the right direction and measured out, and I ran screws into them. So it was, we got it slapped out pretty quick on Saturday, and I think you'll find that it's a pretty sturdy bridge. We've got some backfill to do up to it. I got to work with Ecotone to get the backfilling done up to the abutments because it's in their LOD. So once we get that worked out, then we'll be that bridge will be completed. The trail surfacing in the section that's not down the wetlands, the stone surface that was put down a few years ago, a couple years ago, we added crusher run on top of it. This actually has Grant Coates down in the woods, and that one on the picture on the left, he's rolling the bridge, so we're getting some additional use out of the roller. It worked out real well to make the trail nice and flat, and now they're actually, I pointed out to them that there were a couple areas that were a little bit narrow, so we have a little bit of it tore up right now while they dug some of it out, and we have more crusher run ready to go to be put down and rolled again. And then on the picture on the right, you'll see the kind of where it forks, the trail to the, actually that's almost standing on the new bridge. The trail to the left is where the boardwalk is going in over the wetlands. It's about 80 foot of boardwalk being installed there. And then just kind of to the right between the trees that are just off to the very right of that picture, there's a small walkway being built up and over the roots for the cypress trees. And that'll drop down to the blue trail. So we're going to have a red, white, and blue trail given it's Veterans Park. The trail will be combined into one where you cross the one bridge, and then where it goes up along the most, I guess, northern part of the park, it'll be the red trail, the center trail will be the white trail, and the stream trail will be the blue trail once we actually get all those trails completed. And you'll also see in this picture on the left is the Eagle Scout project from 2 years ago. Our guys ran the Bobcat over it, which weighs about 5,000 pounds, and it didn't move. It didn't budge a bit, so it's quite a sturdy bridge. And the new one's built to the exact same form. So, next picture. Over the weekend, we had one day in particular. This is not Little League. This is park usage. So we had them double parked in the parking lot. Where I'm standing, a car had just pulled out, but there's behind me about another 3 cars parked along the road. The parking all the way up along the far end was completely packed, and then up along the ball fields, they were parked on the right-hand side. And you actually see in the very far picture on the left, there's actually cars parked across the street from the park. It was jammed. There was probably close to 100 people in the park. So we're probably going to be looking at where can we add some additional parking because and they were parked over by the Boy Scout cabin too, I should mention. So, I mean, we literally ran out of parking on that particular day. So we already run out of parking quite frequently with baseball games and such, but this, like I said, this wasn't a baseball game day. This was just usage in the park. So next, so Civil War reenactment, as Joanne brought up earlier, is this coming, actually not this coming weekend, but the following weekend, October 6th through 8th. And so I know there's been a lot of concern by the Historic Commission that we wouldn't have the park ready for the Civil War reenactment. Rest assured it's completed. We're leaving the orange fencing up until a couple days before the reenactment to give the grass as much time as possible to grow, but the fencing will be coming down around the park on probably about October 4th or 5th. That way on the 6th we'll be ready to go. This coming Friday I have a group of middle school students. Actually it's the National Junior Honor Society from the middle school, about 20 to 30 kids, and they roped my daughter into it, that's middle school, to come over and plant trees. We have about 20-some trees that need to be planted in various locations in the park. We have trash cleanup and various different things, so we're going to get the park one last kind of chance to go through it with volunteers and get it really ready for the Civil War reenactment. And down on the bottom right-hand picture is a picture from, I believe, last year. It was the year that the Civil War reenactment was delayed due to the hurricane. So it must have been 2 years ago, yeah. So next slide. And this is the actual schedule for the Civil War reenactment. On Friday, it's open for students only. Saturday and Sunday, it's open to the public. Saturday's hours are 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and again 7 p.m. to 10 a.m. I should say 10 p.m., not 10 a.m. 1:30 is the weapons inspection for the 2 o'clock battle reenactment, and then at 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. they have a candlelight tour and dance. The dance will be to period music and square dancing. So everyone's good with their square dancing attire, and we'll go down and Square dance. Sunday, the event opens at 9:30, and there's actually a church service from 9:30 to 10. I believe that'll be like a period church service. At 2 p.m., they have the weapons inspection for a 2:30 battle reenactment, and the event closes around 4 p.m. So that's the Civil War reenactment schedule. And I believe with that, that is my report. So.
Thank you, Commissioner Warnick.
Thank you.
Commissioner Warnick is definitely not the type to be a self-promoter, so I think putting this together was hard for him, because one thing that he wouldn't say is he spends a lot of hands-on time doing these things. He built that bridge by himself with his daughter. His mother-in-law even came and was helping to move lumber. It's an amazing bridge that has been built. Yeah, it's a family affair. But when you come in off the basketball
wife helped
court
too.
there
Give her
and
credit.
come a little bit further down, that's where you'll find that bridge. And the reason that the bridge needed to be built is there's a lot of runoff that comes from the Little League field, the Little League diamond there, and it gets kind of swampy there.
I
So to have
actually
that
forgot to
bridge.
mention the Ecotone portion, the 22-step pools up between the Public Works yard and the ball field has begun.
That's great.
So that area is a pretty good construction site right now. They've spent the last 2 days clearing vegetation so that they can start building the ponds. Once the ponds are in, that should eliminate a lot of the water runoff going down off of 274 and off of, it's about, I want to say it's like 4 or 5 acres of sub-watershed water treatment that we're going to handle up through there. Once that's completed, they'll be putting trees back and such, native trees.
But this property was grown up. There was a lot of invasive species. There was also a lot of litter at one point in time. It was a dumping ground area. So to see it come back to life is great. And hopefully I'll be around for the ribbon cutting to be able to be there and see that, because it's a great
We found a whole other
project.
stack of milk crates. I thought you'd like that.
Oh, that's great. There was an old ice cream factory, milk factory there, I guess you'd say. And we found tons of old milk crates there buried, so it's kind of a treasure hunt. But is there anything else to come before the board this evening? I have a couple of important dates that I'm going to remind everyone on. Looks like our Planning Commission has an upcoming meeting on October the 2nd at 6:30 p.m. Then we also have a town meeting. It looks like that's actually on October the 10th, not the 16th. Then we also are closed for Columbus Day, which is the 9th, as well as on Veterans Day, which is November 10th. That's a little bit further on. Town elections will be held from October 16th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. No matter who your candidate is, get out and vote. We want to see a good turnout this year. And the last day to request an absentee ballot will be Friday, October the 6th at 5 p.m. And then absentee ballots will be due back on Monday, October the 16th by 8 p.m. or 7:59 p.m. We're going to go ahead and move into an executive session. Following this town meeting, we have an executive session with our town attorney. So could I get a meeting to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.